And what I even found working the bank robberies for the FBI for a long time before serial killers, those were stopped by somebody in the bank just being friendly. A guy's walking in with his ball cap and sunglasses. Like, they don't know he's going to rob the bank. Could be you or me, but they just greet him. They say, hey, how's your day going? You know, how can I help you? Those bank robbers, when they would confess to me later, they're like, zoop, turn around and they're out of there.
Wow.
It's that human contact. It's, I see you.
Right.
You know? And that's what we want for these kids and whatever else to get out in front of this violence.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I noticed that one thing that I noticed of all the research I've done on mass shooters is like anytime at least mainly from that documentary on Showtime, The Active Shooter, was because they talked about how Columbine basically changed the game for them. And like now, instead of like, you know, stopping and helping every single victim. I mean, the one in San Bernardino, they literally, or the one at Berkeley College, the cops are like, I literally had to walk over people because I had to go and eliminate this threat. And then by the time I get back to that person, they're gone, they're dead. So one thing I noticed, and they noticed too, is anytime that these active shooters, typically the young students, were met with anyone, whether it was another law enforcement officer or any kind of combat, they kind of just stopped doing what they were doing, and they become like almost scared at that point. Like, so do you see that a lot too, where like they're met with, you know, to your point of like the bank robber, if I'm nice to that person, they're going to kind of second guess them doing what they're about to do to me and everybody around them. Is that what you see also in those active shooter situations?
Yeah, and I've never been in the middle of one. As an investigator, we're second responders or whatever, you know, once police have come in and done, you know, what you're talking about,
Right.
then we're the ones sitting down and doing the interviews. So,
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what you would normally see. I mean, because like the fact that they even give up and they don't, you know, kill themselves or have a shootout with police is kind of like a sign to me, like they kind of maybe didn't even want to do all of that and go that far. They just wanted to do something. I don't know.
Yep.
It's very
Yeah,
interesting.
no, that's good. There's one that I'm working on that I'd love to comment on, but the shooter, I watched his interview and with the profilers. It's still an active case, but what you just said is exactly what he did. He gave up, and you know, like we were talking about, he had the grievance, he had the idea, but he said it was way too horrific for what he had imagined.
Right.
And it goes into, you know, that's a whole different ball of wax, is our fantasies and whatever else. And it's something that O'Leary, the rapist, talked about that a lot. And even Kimball, I saw that on his computer, of the fantasy that he's trying to work out, you know, and that he's frustrated with, that it's not like how he hoped. And Kimball's homicidal, whereas O'Leary was more like trying to make it work with fear.
Right.
Fear became his fantasy instead of, you know, a normal encounter with a female. God, man. No, it's that drive goes awry in a bunch of different ways.